Good afternoon. We're going to call to order the Parks Commission for August 15th. We'll start with roll call down at the end with Bev.
Beverly Myers, Parks Commission.
Bill Davis, Parks Commission.
Patty Scott, Parks Commissioner.
Ariane Lyons, Parks Commission.
Jamie Faraday, Parks Commission.
Kurt Benward, Parks Commission.
Greg Hamblett, City of Coos Bay.
Jennifer Werstein, City of Coos Bay.
Amy Edmonds, City of Coos Bay.
Christina Teixeira, City of Coos Bay.
Thank you. I know Eric's trying to log on. If you'll help me notice that when he does connect. We will start out with public comment. We will start out with topics and bike path. And
Hello. I just want to say, as an Empire resident, I've been very happy lately to see that there's been a work crew on the streets cleaning up the weeds and refilling the bark. So thank you. I know that's probably not this department, but whatever, it looks great. Another thing I noticed the other day as I was driving on Newmark was these icon signs for John Toppett's Park at both entrances. So I'd like to say thank you for that. And today I went to one and I saw people fishing and kayaking. So hopefully that got people to notice that there is things to do. So that's great. Thank you so much. And I went on Lakeshore Drive last week, and there was a mother and her two kids on her bicycle, and they were going around the corner of that one bend, and I had noticed they had gone before me, and there was a car that slowed down. But I noticed that that's a little kind of a rickety spot for people on bicycles to be going. So if you needed some input about bike paths in the community, that's probably one that would be a good one, since there's a lot of neighborhoods, a lot of kids trying to go to the parks there. So I thought I would just suggest it, that would probably be a good high danger zone that should probably be looked at. That's it. Thank you.
Katie, could you describe that zone again?
Yeah, the intersection.
Okay, so you, from the North Lakeshore Drive entrance to John Toppett's, as you're heading east, there is a sharp corner as you're going towards Oak Street or whatever. Okay. The bicyclists were already past that zone, and there was a car that was stopped there. And I was being observant, so I knew to slow down and whatnot, but I had the worst case scenario pop in my head and thought, well, that's kind of a dangerous thing. And then plus making sure there was enough room for the bicyclist, I did have to get into the other lane. And there was nobody there, but there is also a bit of an incline, so you can't really see oncoming traffic, so that was also a little dangerous spot too. That make it clear?
thank you so much.
Thank you.
I believe that section of road is actually county, isn't it?
I was just pulling it up on the
Yeah, it's a real
GIS
weird thing.
I get it.
But definitely an input, as it is an adjacent property to the city amenities. So,
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
So Katie, if you don't mind, what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, I'd like to reach out to you and just maybe after the meeting today, or maybe at a later date. I don't know if you want to stay for the whole meeting, but maybe at a later date, maybe next week, get with you and just kind of ID this area.
Yeah, I can Google map it for you so I can give you the exact spots.
Sounds good.
All right,
And
thank
maybe-
you.
Oh, sorry. And maybe I can suggest we present that to the Safe Routes to School project management team, because if it's within that 2-mile radius, we can have them take a look at it.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Alexa Carlton, Mingus Storm Drain.
Hi, everyone. I brought some exhibits because this is a very visual project. So just quick intro. I work for the Coos Watershed Association, and I know most of you, especially city folks. We are working on a storm drain education project. So we have these stencils. Yeah, sure. Do you want to be my Vanna White? Thanks, Amy. I just brought a couple examples. There's a lot more, but basically the idea is that we want to connect this. We want your average person to understand that when water falls into our streets, it enters storm drains, it enters the bay. That's a really, not great news for fish, anything that lives in the water, all sorts of stuff ends up on the pavement, as I'm sure you all know. So trying to make that link through art. We did a mural project 5 years ago. Really well received. Murals are great, but they're really complicated, hard to maintain, take a lot of effort to paint. So we created some stencils that are not your typical standard stencil. They're a little bit bigger. They're customized. We have 5 different animals. I guess I can just pass this down. 5 different things that are likely to live in our nearby waterways and be impacted by stormwater runoff. And we also have these text stencils that you can see up front. We have drains to bay, drains to ocean, drains to river. Water is life, and we've been working with the Confederated Tribes on some native language translations to make that connection. The original inhabitants of this land, the original languages of this area, it all connects around environmental stewardship. So we are trying to get these stencils out this summer. I met with Greg yesterday to look at some Empire locations. Fits pretty well with the energy around Empire right now to get more public art there, so we're happy to tie into that. There's also a couple places that I wanted to propose for Mingus Park. So that's, I think, specifically why I'm here today. Can I just pass these down the line? There's three potential spots that I have identified. Even if we just did one of them, we're open to whatever the commission wants to see, but there's a sidewalk area by the lower parking lot before you cross the street into the park. That would be a pretty good spot. In the park itself, that lower end of the pond, there's 2 drains. There's one at the end of the pond, and then there's one a few feet away. And from there, all the water disappears underground out to the bay. So that would be a really awesome spot. The challenge is that it is underwater for a lot of the winter time. But if you guys are open to an experiment, that's something we could try out and see how it does. The paint that we're using is supposed to hold up really well, so we could try it. Were you going to say something, Jamie?
I think it's a great idea. It turns a simple device that we all see every day into something to think about.
Yeah.
So I think it's a perfect idea.
Cool.
All those spots in Mingus.
Okay. Great. Well, that's all I wanted to say. So you guys can.
So, yeah, it was making you aware, and I wasn't sure if this is something that the commission would like to vote on. If it is something that the commission would like to vote on, that we could bring it to the commission next month at the next council meeting or commission meeting, or if the commission would like or direct staff to go ahead and work with the Coos watershed to just work with them and just have them do that, work with them to make that happen.
And I'm looking to see if the general consensus of the commission is for city staff to work with them on the placement throughout city and city parks.
Yeah, I'm going before Jamie. Oh, you're starting at the other end of the table.
I am. I was
Okay,
going
all
to.
right.
Okay.
All right.
Bev, do you feel comfortable with city staff working with them on placement? Okay. Bill? Addie? Jamie?
Yep.
Yeah, anything that gets it done faster. Plus, we've had wonderful weather, but you never know when it's going to change.
Yeah.
So,
Very true.
Yeah, unfortunately Saturday. All right.
Cool.
Well,
No, too soon. In at least a week.
yeah. So I think we have consensus for staff to move forward with that, and thank you so much. We
Great.
appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think if you live here and you don't know what that is, then it's, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then, Cricket, did you have items to add, or do you want to be on, you're on, nope, you're not on the agenda, but we'll have you pop up today.
You got one more?
So Cricket Souls in Coos Bay, and this is my off month, but I'm here anyway. Because next month you meet just right before this event. So we've already received 12 different headstones for veterans that we did documentation on who didn't have headstones, and ironically, we found 2, and their headstones was already erected, but we found another one, so we're working on that, and maybe a headstone will show up on time. So it's fall, it's nice weather. The principal has picked the date for us because it's after Fun Festival. It's a half a day of school, so we can involve the kids easier, and there's no football game. So that always improves our attendance, and in the nice fall weather, we hope, we get more people just to come to the cemetery. We're also working with the American Legion, both for their honor guard, and also they have a program called Be the One, which is a thing to, when you meet a veteran, kind of just don't ignore them, ask them how they're doing, see if they need any help. And the biggest thing that why they've started this is to prevent veteran suicides. So the first man on the list is a suicide, and we've continued to work with mental health and how we deal with triggers for that. And we already, since May, we've had signs for the Veterans Crisis Line right. You know, we didn't say he was a suicide, but we have the signs right next to his headstone. So we'll deal with that, and I've worked with the mental health counselor last year at Marshfield to say, what do we do? And she worked with the city and everyone when they were doing things, when there was a significant number of jumps from the McCullough Bridge, and they found the best way to stop suicides is with information out there. So that's what we're trying, and we have multiple suicides at the cemetery, sadly. But this one is a veteran suicide who Philippines was very much like Vietnam, maybe a little worse. They all came back sick with dysentery and everything else, and malaria, and it was tough. So if anyone can join us, we'd love to have that. And if there's any questions about that, we'll need to rely on a little bit of city grass cutting, and if anyone wants to bring their weed whacker and help us get some aisles ready for this. But any other questions about that?
Thank you, Cricket. You're amazing.
Well, it's because everyone helps with it. And I should add one other thing. Our target audience right now for raising some additional funds, so if we go after some other grants, is the alumni. So we're working on that, and all the people that work with alumni at Marshfield said, go for it. So, and we'd already received tacit approval a while ago from here. So that's what we are working on. So we have a letter prepared and met with several people in reunions and have our first $20. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cricket.
Thank you, Cricket.
I look forward to get that alumni letter in the mail. So we're going to move on down to our action items. Action A, Oregon Bay Area beautification update. Welcome back to the podium.
Okay, so we had our last cleanup just last weekend at John Toppit's Park, and the stats for that was we had 40 volunteers show up. We got rid of 6 cubic yards of trash, 3 cubic yards of ivy, and we had some eager volunteers actually scoop up the dog poop and got a whole bag of it. So, and 3 miles of the trails, pretty much all of them got blown with the leaf blower. So we did a pretty good job. David Crandall was very happy that we got to help him with that. And I just want to say, on behalf of OBAB, David's been great to work with, and he needs all the support he can get, and budget for more employees maybe. But anyway, he's been so great to work with. He's identified things that he needed help with, and we actually made sure to target those things that he really needed, so he was happy with it and everything. So it was a really great cleanup. We accomplished a lot. So as of August 2024, For our second Saturdays, we've had a total of 291 volunteers. That's 734 hours worked. That's 45 cubic yards of trash, 19 and a half cubic yards of invasives and blackberries and weeds and shrubs, 40 Sitka spruce seedlings planted, 200 yards of mulch spread on trails, and in just Coos Bay alone, we've had 164 volunteers, which is 410 hours worked, and that's 44 cubic yards of trash, 12 cubic yards of debris of ivy, scotch broom, blackberries, weeds, and shrubs. In September, we're coming back to John Toppitz Park, and I just confirmed today we'll be collaborating with SWAC, so we'll also be helping clean up the trails on their property as well. So we are hoping for a lot of volunteers to come and help with this project. It's a huge park, including with the SWAT campus. So if anybody would like to come help, that's going to be on September 14th. Sign-ins at 9:45. It'll be at the whole street entrance of John Toppitz.
Awesome, thank you so much, and we truly appreciate everything you do. Greg?
I just was gonna see if anybody had any questions for Katie. I know, I'll definitely, I know Dave does a hard work working with OBAB. I know we'll pat him on his back. Not too hard, though. He works hard, so, no, we do appreciate OBAB's efforts. 3 miles of trails being cleaned up is amazing, so thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for being easy to work with, so it makes our job easier.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much.
Thank you.
Item 3B, Adopt a Park Status Report.
So, so the City of Coos Bay Parks Commission has established a subcommittee to explore the possibility of establishing a Adopt a Park program. The committee has been working hard on the pilot program and will provide an update for their work. The committee has been very active and have continued to reach the goals as required by the Parks Commission. Typically, this is where Coco would chime in and take it on. I don't know, Jamie is a member, if you
I should probably
want to.
speak up here. I have, along with Carmen, been pretty much nodding and giving her the thumbs up when she comes up with the next step in this plan. And we have a big event coming up on the 24th in Toppitz with the walking around with potential donors for replacing the markers, all the markers along the way. Some of the benches need work and repair. And so that's one of the main focuses. And then there's a dog feature after that, which is to get people to come in with their dogs, learn about the waste situation, come with their dogs dressed up for being judged by, hopefully we have some judges. I called out to all my dog friends with that, and hopefully Coco has some judges there to do that. And then with the community building, everybody can just read what's there. Seeking recommendations, outreach on this matter for the scheduling of.
So if you'd like, I can kind of jump in here.
Sure.
It looks like there's 2 items that Coco was asking from the commissioners. And the first item is, if it pleases the commission, please discuss the concerns regarding item number 2, provide direction to the AAPPP regarding the Boy Scout cabin and how it is going to be difficult public to help with the funding of the refurbishing of the Mingus Park Community Building if the Boy Scouts of America is going to be using this structure outside of the schedule that they have, that has been approved on file. So sometimes we have overlapping scheduling, and so the Adopt a Park program is requesting some help and guidance on that.
I think part of it is this is a transition, so they had so many people had keys to that building, there wasn't a schedule that needed to be followed. So I think part of it is a transition time for understanding, for Boy Scouts of America, understanding that times do need to be scheduled and activities that way, versus before where everyone just had a key and went whenever they wanted to. So I think part of it is a little bit of a learning curve on both parties to make sure that we're as accommodating as possible. But I do think that there is some concerns that if this is a park asset and there's nothing's on the schedule for Boy Scouts of America on Saturday, and somebody rents it on Saturday and they show up, how are we going to resolve that?
Yeah, and I think now we've gone through, the city's gone through, we changed all the locks. And we've gotten keys, we've distributed keys to the appropriate persons, and those persons have signed the keys out. And there is an approved schedule that the Boy Scouts of America, the different troops and the groups have agreed to this schedule. My understanding is last weekend, I think there was an event that was a special event that reserved the community building. The Boy Scouts happened to be there, and they were like, "Well, we had it." No, it wasn't on the schedule. So I think there's just a conflict. So I think right now what we're looking for with the Dot Park is maybe just some recommendations. And if it is just working through the process and going through the growing pains and just communicating, that's fine. But we just need, I think, Jamie, please chime in if there's something else that is.
Well, I remember seeing a schedule, but I don't recall that it was specific at certain days, or if it was more of a generalized number of days per month. But that seems like it would be simple for anybody if there was a schedule that had blackout dates for scouts, and then all those other dates would be available for the community to rent. Seems like a rational way to go.
And I think that probably giving Boy Scouts of America some grace when they did the schedule, because they'd not had to do one before, they're probably forgetting about some periodic events that they do every year, but they just weren't thinking about it because, the den parents change and all of that stuff. So I think giving them a little bit of grace there, but I do think that we need to come up with a schedule. There needs to be blackout dates for the BSA to use it. And then if they're not on the schedule, they're not to be there.
So my only question is, how do people have access to the schedule? I know from the library when they scheduled a couple of meeting rooms there, it's done all online and people can look and see whether or not somebody has that scheduled. So, just so people, because the Boy Scouts may have a particular day of the week every month or every 2 weeks or week or whatever, but as other people maybe want to use the community building, they may schedule it in there. They need the ability to look and see if it's scheduled.
Yeah, so the way the process works is if somebody wants to rent out the cabin, they'll come to City Hall, request to rent it. We'll let them know. They'll let us know the dates they want to request it. We have a calendar and we say, oh, it's occupied that time or it's not occupied that time. And so we let them know if it's available during that period of time.
So if the Boy Scouts want to use it on a date other than they're normally scheduled, they would come to you and ask to use it?
They should.
Well, that's the reason why I said if they could look at a schedule, they would know right away that it's not available.
Yeah, we could definitely post it. I think that'd be easy enough, but if somebody outside of the Boy Scouts wanted to rent it, that would be the process.
Yeah, I think posting it, I think, would be beneficial. If they have an impromptu, we can't have our meeting at our regular spot, we look at the schedule, see that nobody's there, that it is going to be a transition time because they have been able to use it whenever they want to. And so this is just a little bit of a learning curve for all of us. I like the online.
And there may be times in the future, hopefully, with funding availability, some work's going to be done on the community building, right? And once that work gets scheduled, it may conflict with something that the Boy Scouts have scheduled, and having something they can look at and know what's going on would make it easier, I think. So.
Do we have any other additional commissioner comments on the scheduling conflict? Greg, do you feel like we've given you enough direction, or do you want something more specific?
I think we could definitely post the schedule online.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any issues with that. I'm not sure if there's anything more specific that the Adopt the Park committee is looking for. but I think that would definitely be a step in the right direction. I think definitely move forward with a bit of grace, understanding that processes have changed and that maybe perhaps we haven't seen the foresight of, maybe changes in schedule and we never had to do this before. Maybe just doing something differently is just taking that into consideration, I think is.
And I think a gentle reminder to whoever is in charge of checking those keys out to them of, yeah, we do have to check the schedule. It's not just, other people are going to be utilizing the structure as well. Okay, all right.
And the third item there, number 3, recruiting volunteers for the community building to help with the trail down to Mingus Park from the community building was re-gravelled, but it needs some water bars before the rain starts. So Coco has an idea about that, and I got with Lance to take down some holly in the park that need to come down and work fine for water bars. So we've got those marked and ready to roll, so we'll at least I'll be involved with that. I'm sure Coco will as well, and probably Carmen, if we can't get anybody else as volunteers.
So the second action item or requested is, if it pleases the commission, please discuss volunteering options for placing log bunks and water bars to keep the new gravel in place with the work party before the rains come as requested in items 3.
Have we got a date yet that you want to do it?
No.
Before the rain. Or
Well,
Saturday.
So
I heard
that's
Saturday.
tomorrow, so.
Only from the standpoint, I know you've got the big issue going on out at Tapas Park on the 24th of August and stuff. And are you probably looking at a weekend because it might be easier to get volunteers? It's kind of like you almost need a date to say, okay, I know I'm going to review that weekend or not.
Right, and we don't have the materials down yet, and certainly the 24th is going to be a big event, and we'll need to, so probably after that.
So I think the suggestion is that the committee picks a date, or suggests a date, and then looks out for volunteers. And then, do we have any, I know that they're busy doing many other things, but I can't think of their acronym now. The work source, the kids that come and help and do a lot. SOEB, yeah. Just because I'm not sure how intensive it is to dig out a gravel path and put in a water bar, if utilizing some additional help.
Depending on how many are necessary, it could be a few hours to all day.
Okay. So, do we have any access to utilizing anyone from SOEB?
So staff time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, staff could definitely help in some capacity, as long as the work is Monday through Friday, we can definitely help out.
Okay.
It just really depends on what the scope of work looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
I'm just thinking with the winter season upon us, and then September being with almost everything, something every single weekend, maybe a Friday would be a good day to tackle that project. Just because, if you look at the festivals and events that are going on, there's something every single weekend. So my suggestion would be to pick a Friday, partner with staff if they're available. We're going to lean on volunteers as much as possible, and then do the rally cry for volunteers to come, hopefully.
So my next question would be, would that be the Adopt a Park subcommittee would be the driver on coordinating the volunteers and the efforts there, or is that something that this body would like to
I think the
establish?
I think the Adopt a Park subcommittee, since they're already established and they already have procedures in place.
I will talk to Carmen and Coco about perhaps either the 30th or the 6th of September, those 2 Fridays. That look good? As suggestions?
The 30th is the Labor Day weekend,
Oh,
so probably the 6th or 13th.
okay.
I mean, it is for labor, but people are.
Right, right.
I think the 13th is the day that the watershed's doing the thing, the college, that Saturday, so if you want to do it then.
So the 6th sounds great.
Okay.
Okay. Greg, do you have what you need from us for that piece?
I think so. I think I need a motion and some
Okay.
votes
Okay.
for the two items.
For the schedule and
Mhm.
the water bars?
Yes, for the schedule and the water bars, for item 1 and item 2. If you'd like, I can read them again.
Sure.
Okay. If it pleases the commission, please discuss the concerns described in item 2 and provide direction to the AAPPP.
Summarize it, Jamie.
Okay, for the schedule, to be,
Say so moved.
I'm better at writing these
So
things.
moved at what he said.
Kurt? You said it well when you said, and it needs to be online, hopefully.
I think we can
Yeah.
transition to that. I think it needs to be posted. So to post it and to send a gentle reminder that no matter who's using it, they need to check the schedule before they utilize it.
There you go, Jamie. Just say that, and I'll second it.
Their hand said.
There needs to be a set schedule that needs to be checked by all parties, including the Boy Scouts.
It needs to be online.
And be online.
With a gentle reminder.
So moved.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, I have a first.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion?
Just one thing that, it doesn't need to change the motion at all. I'm sure it's the understanding if somebody has a schedule that's theirs.
Mhm.
So if two people show up, who's ever on the schedule gets it.
Correct. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We're moving on to item 3, the volunteers at Mingus Park.
If we can, item
Oh.
2.
Item 2.
Action item 2, if it pleases the commission, please discuss volunteering options for placing log bunks and water bars to keep the new gravel in place with a work party before the rain comes, as requested in item 3.
I move we direct the Adopt a Park Committee to set up a date, preferably the 6th of September, by which to organize a work party to do so.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 3, action item C, upcoming fall road and pedestrian improvements. Greg?
We are moving along. The city of Coos Bay has designated the Parks Commission as an advisory board related to bike and pedestrian improvements throughout the city. As such, staff will be engaging the commission during the design process to discuss when and where to designate pedestrian and bicycle facilities for future projects for arterial and collector road projects. Staff is presenting 2 projects today. The first project is the Anderson Pedestrian Improvement Project. This first project is the Anderson Avenue between South 6th Street and South 7th Street sidewalk replacement project. This project will consist of the removal and replacement of the existing sidewalk from South 7th Street to South 6th on the south side of Anderson Avenue. The proposed work consists of removal and replacement of the existing curbing and gutters, as well as removal and replacement of the existing trees and tree wells. Furthermore, there will be a new catch basin installed along the new curb to convey stormwater that gathers at a low spot to the existing stormwater system. There are no road improvements associated with this project. The second project is the Coos River Highway Road Improvement Project. The second project is a grind and inlay project along Coos River Highway between D Street and 1300 Coos River Highway. This section of roadway has failed and must be repaired. The goal of this project is to create a safe and stable driving surface for the traveling public. The roadway is 26 feet wide with two 11-foot travel lanes and two 2-foot shoulders on each side. The road is topographically challenged with steep declines on one side of the road and steep rises on the other side. Amy, if you could please advance that to the next picture. There you go. I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but as portrayed on the attached exhibit. While the 2020 Transportation System Plan identifies that Coos River Highway should consider having future striped bike lanes, in its current conditions, there is not enough room to stripe the road to include bike lanes. In conclusion, there are no pedestrian bicycle improvements proposed with this project due to the topographical constraints. So the budget implications for these two projects: for Anderson Avenue between 6th and 7th Street is a sidewalk replacement project. The engineer's estimate is $248,400. The funding agency for this project is Downtown Urban Renewal Agency. The sidewalk project is funding that portion of this job. For the Coos River Highway project, D Street between 1300 D Street and 1300 Coos River Highway project, staff's estimate is $100,000. Project source funding for this source is a Transportation Fund 02. So on Coos River Highway, one of the biggest challenges that we do have is a lack of space. And it's just, we have a steep drop off, and we have a lot of movement out there on that roadway, and we have steep inclines on the other side of the road. We do have a 2-foot shoulder on either side of that road, with the travel lanes being only 11-foot wide.
Got all those springs popping out here too.
We do have some springs out there, so.
That, it looks like much less than 2 foot when you look at the,
When you're
Fog.
walking it, it feels a lot less than 2 feet. And I've walked that road a lot over the course of the last 2 years. So if it pleases the commission, or approve or not, staff's recommended approach to the Anderson Pedestrian Improvement Project and the Coos River Highway Improvement Project.
I have a couple of quick questions. So first on the Anderson project, when I was reading that, replacing the trees on it is part of the project?
Correct.
Okay. Did we talk to the chapel?
Yes.
Okay. Because sometimes I know we've been, not this group, but other groups have been confused of not talking to folks when they've been doing so. Do we have any idea about how long that might take? I know it was a much bigger project on commercial, but that took a long time.
The project itself, I think, is scheduled for the anticipated construction date of 60 to 90 days.
Okay.
So
When did you say the start date?
the start date, so we plan on advertising here in the next couple of weeks, and then opening bids in September 10th, and then going to council September 17th, and then contract times opening probably starting in early October.
Okay. After Cruise the Coos, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be after the main event.
And then the last thing with that Anderson project is there may or may not be construction of a new library down there. And I know we're talking about runoff water as an issue down there. Are we the capacity is going to be there with this to handle any runoff water from that construction?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, we're just,
Okay.
actually, one good thing that we are doing is they're handling the curbing gutter ponding that happens there.
Which will then quickly be stenciled, correct?
Perhaps in the future.
Okay. Jamie?
on the Coos River Highway, it just occurred to me, if this is a section of city street that doesn't look like it can ever have bikeways, would this be a place to throw in some sharrows while they're out there?
So,
Just to get them around the corner into, I mean, up on the top where it's straight, there's wider shoulders, and then off near Sauce where it's a little wider, better shoulders. In this pinch point, it seems like it would be,
I think,
or is that a bad use of sharrows, getting them
I think
unfamiliar
that's,
before and after?
not to cut you off, Jamie, I'm sorry. I think that's part of why we're talking about doing that full-scale TSP, to see what areas are these pinch points, you know, like the one that was brought up earlier, even though that's county, in a place like this, to see going back all the way down and where it could be. So this is a small section of a gigantic problem, but I do appreciate.
Yeah, I'm thinking mobilization of workforce. They're there, they have perhaps the.
So going back to the chair's point, again, looking at this citywide, right off the bat, there are guidelines for sharrows. One of them is you're not supposed to put them on roads that have high-volume trips. This has high-volume trips. I'm not saying it's impossible, but we'd have to do the analyses, hence the plan. I don't want to repeat myself, but okay, sorry.
But
Thanks.
I think it's a good point, is once we get the plan done, when we're doing these sections, that's when we can tackle.
Hold that thought.
Yeah, that's when we can tackle, okay, here's this section that we're doing, let's pull up the TSP, these are the parts that need to be done.
So, yeah, so now I'm going to talk again. I've ridden that road an awful lot on my bicycle. And that part of the section of the road is very scary when you ride it, you know, because there isn't a lot of room. And I understand that. And I agree, Sherrills probably aren't the best place for it because the traffic's too heavy. But maybe even a sign or two that said bikes on the road might be helpful. And the reason I say that is for those people that ride bikes around here, that's a popular route. That's how they go from Coos Bay to get around East Bay Drive and come back across the bridge. There used to be a really established ride from Moe's Bike Shop doing that. Also, people go that way. Sometimes they'll go out Olive Barber, up the road past the golf course, come back on the Slough Road, and come back into town that way. And both those routes are really used a lot by people that ride, and I'm surprised there hasn't been an accident or two around there anyways. Sometimes it's because of the time of the day bike riders ride. They tend to want to ride early in the morning or after the rush hour traffic in the evening to avoid some of that. But anything that we can do to improve that would be great. So maybe even if it's just a sign. My one question is, are the shoulders that we're talking about, the 2-foot shoulders, are they going to be paved?
with this project, we're proposing a single lane grind inlay, and we will go to the extent from road edge to center line.
So the shoulders won't be paved?
Yeah, from road edge, yeah, so we're gonna go the whole extent.
Okay, I was just hoping the shoulders would be paved too,
Yeah,
because that might help a bike rider going around there, because gravel's difficulty too, so.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding the.
So in your presentation, we're saying that there are 2-foot shoulders on each side.
Yeah,
And so I'm wanting to know if those 2-foot shoulders are paved.
beyond the fog line, there's 2 foot beyond the fog line, but that is paved now, and that's what we're gonna be paving, just that.
So they will be paved, Jennifer's. And that's good, because it gives a little bit of room. You get to appreciate all the road debris along the side of a road if you ride a bike.
So we are looking for a motion, unless there's further discussion, to approve as presented, possibly with the addition of a bikes on roadway signage, for moving these projects forward. I'm looking for a motion.
Jamie, you're so good, I keep going.
Let's do this.
I have a first. Can I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 3D, project updates.
Okay, we're going to start off. Christina's going to present status on the grants, and then I'm going to turn it over to Greg.
The city's public works
department works on various projects associated with the park system. In an effort to enhance transparency and communication between staff and commission, staff is proposing to provide monthly updates to the Parks Commissions for grants, capital improvements, and operations and maintenance projects. The monthly updates would allow the opportunity for the Parks Commission to ask questions and stay informed on the projects associated with the parks, bicycles, and pedestrian projects. So for grants, we have the local government grant. The Mingus Park Restroom Project has been recommended for funding through the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department. The total cost of the project is $572,441, which $343,465 is grant funded through this program. The city must have $228,976 in matching funds. The Oregon Park staff will present the project in the board in September for final approval. The following is the funding strategy for the match. Judith Ann Mogan, 2024 Mingus Rewilding Grant awarded in 2024 for $40,000. Judith Ann Mogan, a letter of intent has been submitted and under review. The ask is $100,000. The Parks Capital Fund, $88,977, combination of in-kind work and cash match. Then we have the Community Wildfire Risk Reduction Grant. An application was submitted to the Oregon State Fire Marshal on July 19th, 2024 to mitigate vegetation in John Topics Park that could fuel fire. Oregon Community Pass Grant. Staff is currently working on a grant application for the Front Street and Boardwalk Pathway Improvements Project. This project will enhance access with multi-use paths to the entire Front Street area, extending from East Market Avenue to the southern property line of the Coos History Museum. And then the National Register of Historic Places. An application was to place the Mingus Park Community Building, aka Scout Cabin, on the National Register of Historic Places was submitted on June 28th, 2024. Oregon Parks has requested revisions be made to the application and resubmitted by November 1st, 2024. If accepted, this will provide the community building with more grant opportunities. And then does anybody have any questions on grants?
We're excited about the grants as we go through.
And then I will turn it over to Greg to talk.
So I'll take it over from there. So under the capital improvement section, so the Safe Routes to School we had a kickoff meeting last week, or was that this week? It was this week, boy. For a 2-mile radius around Sunset Middle School, Destination Academy, and Marshfield High School will be analyzed for bicycle and pedestrian improvements. Staff as a civil and project management team compiled a city staff, Parks Commissioners, representatives from the 3 schools, the Empire Coalition, and members at large. The consultant, Alta Planning, is scheduling a kickoff meeting in the next 30 days, which we actually had this week. The bike improvement facilities from Front Street to Mingus Park. This park was formerly known as the Sharrows Project. On August 6, 2024, the City Council proposed to discuss the project along with the fact-finding committee at a September 24th, 2024 joint work session with the Council and the Parks Commission. The Mingus Park rewilding. The project is planned to be completed this fall. The project is in the southwest portion of the park and includes relocation of the kiddie playground equipment, drainage improvements, new paths, planting of native and natural and educational signage. It is currently on hold pending an archaeological investigation, which is anticipated to be completed by mid-September with a project completion date in the fall. Central Avenue Road improvements from 11th to Ocean. This project incorporates bike lanes. It is anticipated that Civil West, the engineer of work, will submit 90% plans by the early September. In the operation and maintenance, Mingus Park Storage, the city manager requested that staff repurpose the old picnic pavilion in Mingus Park. The area has not served its intended use for some time. The project has been completed and now staff can safely store park equipment. The John Toppitz restroom, staff has successfully replaced the roof and modernized the lighting inside the park's restrooms. And the Mingus Park playground drainage improvements. Historically, in the winter months, the playground area has ponding issues and water stores inside of the concrete area there. So drainage improvements will be installed this fall to help alleviate this ponding. So that is what we are up to as staff.
Thank you for the updates. Kurt?
You looked right at me. I'm happy to see the bathroom project. I think that's really important for the park down there, for all the events and stuff. It's a great thing. The one question I had about that is, I noticed we show in the funding that Judith Ann Morgan grant for rewilding is being considered in money there, and yet we have the Judith Ann grant rewilding by the kiddie park too. So we're able to use it in both places, and we're still okay?
It's two different grants by the same funder. So the 2024 is the Mingus Rewilding, and we're able to use that as a match. And now in 2025, even though we're looking at next grant cycle, we have a letter of intent asking for $100,000.
Cool. All
So
right.
yes.
And then the other thing, the Front Street and Boardwalk Pathway Improvements Project. So when does that have to be in for a grant?
Christina, if you know the answer to that, that should be
It's
on the
probably on the chart
spreadsheet.
and I didn't look.
It,
Okay.
it is, but that's okay.
Stupid like always.
I gotta switch.
I have the chart right here.
It is due January 15th.
When was it?
January.
Okay. Are we going to be able to see that plan before it goes in?
We definitely can bring the 30%
Yeah.
funds in.
I think that would be good. It'd give us a chance to look at it, to see what it looks like as far as pedestrian and bicycle traffic is concerned. And in particular, I don't know in that plan if you're going to address anything with the Highway 101 going north and Market Street intersection.
So, and maybe what we can do is we can talk about this, if you folks are okay with this, at the September Parks Commission meeting. So what we have right now is 30% plans, but it's just for the northern portion. If we're going for a grant, we should ask for the whole entire length. And we should talk about any improvements we want to do on 101. If you're okay with that, I certainly would like to bring that back in September and show you what the blueprint says and what the work we've done to date so far.
Yeah, I know in the original plan that was submitted before, there were actually bike lanes, I think, on Highway 101 North going down almost that far, but I could be wrong. And the only reason I bring it up is that, you know, I understand the council's concern with the project going from Front Street up to Mingus Park, and I heard three concerns, you know. One was parking, you know, and we probably didn't do our due diligence. We probably should have made sure we talked to all the business owners around there and got a feeling for how they felt about that. And of course, cost, and that's just going to be an issue. But the other one, again, was safety in that intersection at Market and 101 going north. And I know that caused some people some concerns. And if we can't address that, that may make that project difficult. But if we can incorporate that into, you know, the whole Front Street project, I think that would be helpful. This last week, I saw a mom on one bike and a small child on another bike on Front Street down there, attempting to get across Highway 101.
At Market?
At Market, yes. And it's, I understand the difficulties. The problem is people are going to use it, and as that Front Street area gets developed more and more, people are going to want to ride down there. And, you know, I'll get on my soapbox here again, too. If you go south on Highway 101 through town, right, there's a lighted intersection at Market. There's a lighted intersection at Anderson. There's a lighted intersection at Central. There's a lighted intersection, Commercial. Central, there's a lighted intersection at Anderson. The next street down at Coney Station, there's a lighted intersection. The next street down where Tower Ford is, there's a lighted intersection. The next street down at McDonald's, there's a lighted intersection. There are a ton of lighted intersections on Highway 101 going south. But going north, really the only way that you can, with a lighted intersection, that you can get across to the boardwalk, and also now the development on Front Street, is the one that comes from Anderson. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have another lighted intersection or two on Highway 101 going north. And I'll tell you something else, on Highway 101, I'm getting excited. On Highway 101 going north, people don't do the speed limit. But Highway 101 going south through downtown, everybody does because the lighted intersections are all coordinated. If you go fast, all you do is stop. And so I think there's a good argument because of the development of Front Street, because of the difficulty of getting across Highway 101, that people want to use the boardwalk and activities on Front Street to look at a lighted intersection on Market and 101. So I hope we can discuss that when we talk about that plan for Front Street. So, and a political announcement.
You know, and those lights, that's an interesting concept. ODOT would have to be a partner in that. And it's something also, if we decide to move forward with that citywide bike and ped plan, we can make sure it encompasses Highway 101. John Lazur, he's the ODOT, I forget his title, but he, and I spoke earlier this week, he is going to be on the Safe Routes to School project management team. We also spoke about where he is, because he's got different buckets of money than we do. And we were talking about those flashing crossings for maybe bikes along Commercial. He's a real advocate for that. He says he's still working on it. So that's, I can try to tie him down for a better status, but that is what I received. And then with respect to public notification for the Front Street Dominguez Park, we are doing that. And that'll be complete before the September Council Parks Commission joint work session. So we'll at least given the opportunity to make comment for the community.
And the other thing, I think some of the reluctance, and there was a safety concern with the old Cheryl's project on Highway 101 going north in Market. And I think part of the concern, I heard a comment at that meeting, council meeting, that, well, people are going to use it anyways. They probably are, but if you put in Cheryl's and stuff and designate it as a bike lane, I think you start accepting some liability, right? You start saying, hey, this is a safe way for you to go with your bike. Or go across. And I will tell you, cars have a hard time getting out of Front Street as well on Market. So anyways, I'm a strong advocate for that, and I know involving ODOT means it'll take forever, but
They're getting better. They're getting better.
okay.
I mean, and I think that goes back to the TSP bike and ped that we've talked about, is I think what it will do is look at the blueprint that we have for Front Street, look at the Empire blueprint that they took a look at, and then the Safe Routes to School, and then kind of connect the dots between all of those so that we can have a comprehensive plan. Jennifer?
And just so this committee knows, or excuse me, commission knows, the Safe Routes to School effort is looking at all of those plans you just mentioned.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Additional commissioner comments on capital improvements, grants, operation and maintenance? No? Looking pretty good. All right, thank you so much. We appreciate everything that the city does. We know that we keep you busy on top of all the other things that you are doing as well. Our next agenda item is future agendas for regular meetings and work sessions. For the September 5th work session, we added an additional item besides the kinetic art. We added a continued discussion on budget and funding ideas. Are there any other agenda items? And then we just discussed bringing the Front Street 30% plan, I believe, in later. Not to the work session, but to a meeting. We'll add that on there. Any other additional items, agenda items, Commission would like to add? Greg?
So I've got a real quick question. At the September 19th, we do have on here the quarterly report from the kayak vendor. So I did speak with the kayak vendor. So they opened up in, I think, June. So I was wondering, do we want to move that maybe to October to give them a full quarter?
Yeah, let's move it to October. That currently doesn't have a lot of items on there. Jamie?
You reminded me of something when Carmen and Coco were out there looking at the vendor. We also noticed one of the dog waste bag dispenser was right next to it, was there. And we noticed that the little light, solar-powered light was gone, and also on the other one. And we were talking about it, and the guy at the vendor just started talking to us. He had a camera there. He said, well, maybe I should check my video to see if I can see who took it. He just started, this box just started talking to us.
He's got a ring system set up on there
Yeah,
for security.
but
on
we
his-
didn't even ring in. We just,
Yeah,
we were
that's-
talking and he was listening.
I was out there a couple weeks ago, walked out there to look at it. He said, "Hey, Greg, how are you?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Hello?"
It is disconcerting, when you're always on camera. So once you leave your house, or in your house for that matter, everyone's always listening,
Always.
always. Any other items added for the agendas that we would like to discuss? Okay. We're going to rock right down to staff and commissioner closing comments. Staff, do you have any additional items you would like to add for today?
Just one in regards to the work sessions at the fire station. So we've had a few issues connecting remotely to the chambers and streaming live. We thought that SysTech had that resolved on the 19th of July, but there was some issues with the temporary solution, so they are now working on a permanent solution. They do have the council chambers booked for September 5th as a backup, and if we're not able to get that solution in place by then, we'll meet here at the chambers, and I'll communicate to the commissioners well in advance on that.
All right. Thank you so much.
And I think if we want to keep it relaxed, we can just wear sandals.
Okay. All right. And then any other commissioner comments to wrap it out?
Just thanks to staff for all you do. I know we make your life crazy, but I know we all appreciate you as well. So I appreciate all that you do.
Right. Jamie? I'm good. Good. Patty? Good. Yeah? Good? Good. All right. Thank you so much. I just wanted to note that Eric couldn't connect, but he texted in that he was in support of the items that were discussed today, and so we'll continue to move forward with that. I appreciate everyone for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you, everybody.